On the Abraham Accords, which Israel has signed with a number of Arab states, how satisfied are you with the evaluation of those accords so far?
I think it's been a sea change. It's been a world change. I mean, we've gone from having two peace agreements. The first one, historic one, with Egypt, between Prime Minister Begin and President Sadat, and then with Jordan, King Hussein. Then for a quarter of a century, we had nothing. And I'm very proud of the fact that my government was able to forge, with American assistance, peace treaties with 4 Arab states, Gulf states, Morocco, and Sudan. And we think that there's room to bring it up to a higher level, even to expand the Abraham Accords. And that's very, very good, not only for us and for our Arab neighbors, but I think it's very good for the region. It creates economic possibilities, vast economic opportunities that didn't exist before. And I think everybody will benefit. I think Cyprus will benefit from it.
Do you see a role for Cyprus to those accords, actually?
Possibly, yeah. There are some ideas about energy corridors and other things that might be of interest. But in general, I think that when you normalize relations, you bring security, stability, and prosperity, everybody in the region enjoys it.
Talking about expansion of those accords, there is discussion on how maybe you can proceed with such an agreement, a peace agreement with Saudi Arabia. But there were talks about difficulties to that direction. How are things now, and what's your comment on what happened with the plane, with Israelis coming back to Israel and that was forced to land in Saudi Arabia?
We are working with the American government and with the Saudi government about the possible normalization in peace agreements. That's something in discussion. There are important issues to be resolved, but it's important to note that we already have a measure of normalization with Saudi Arabia, because even before the Abraham Accords, Israelis were already flying over the airspace of Saudi Arabia to the Gulf states. Now we go through the entire airspace to go through to Asia. And this is an amazing change. I think what happened with the Israeli passengers on this plane bound from the Seychelles to Tel Aviv is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. I mean, this plane, we're very happy and very appreciative of the way that the Saudi authorities took care of this plane and these Israeli passengers who are now on their way to Tel Aviv. It landed in an emergency landing in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. Warmly received, warmly treated. This is the sign of the times, the change of times. If I told you 10 years ago that a plane full of Israelis would land an emergency landing in Saudi Arabia, people would have been nervous. But I'm not nervous today. We weren't nervous today because we knew of this friendly attitude, this warm attitude, this gradual normalization of relations. That is a very good sign. Good neighbors is a very good sign for the region. So
discussion on expanding accords, and I understand there are discussions going on secretly as well. There was news in the past 24 hours about a secret meeting between the foreign minister of Israel and Libya. The disclosure of such a meeting, is it helpful to your direction of?
Well, it wasn't helpful now, that's clear. And you have to understand, this is an exception to the rule. There have been just innumerable confidential contacts made between Israel and Arab leaders, Muslim leaders. In fact, many of them took place in Cyprus. The government of Cyprus has been very helpful over the years, very hospitable and very discreet and confidential in enabling these meetings, including some that led to the Abraham Accords. So if you didn't know that up to now, I'm telling you that. But we were very careful to not to reveal this in advance of time. And in fact, I'm not even telling you now the details of these meetings.